So hello everybody and welcome to the channel bobsales this times next year. So I just wanted to talk about a couple of things that happened tonight, a couple of the AMA and just a general natter about veve and everything else that goes with it. So first thing is, where is my pencil? So we brought this drop expecting a pencil and we've heard nothing about the pencil. Now on the article itself, it never did give you a time for the pencil. Never did tell you when you were going to receive it or a date to receive it, although there was a date on there for you to acquire, all the pencils before a certain date so you could craft them. So I'm not sure what that's about. I did kind of suspect there may be a factor that you might not be able to sell the pencil in the aftermarket. And the only reason I thought that was because of the minting. So you had to mint the drop in order to get the pencil. You couldn't actually buy the drop off the marketplace and then get the pencil that way. You did have to buy it off the drop. So that kind of's telling me maybe that's why we haven't got the pencil. But I think you should be clear on that if you're not going to drop it straight away. A lot of people brought like me. Some people may have brought just because they knew they was going to get the free pencil to flip. I mean, I was always going to go for the drop anyway. The pencil was just a bonus. And a couple of the others that have been listed, like Pride Rock, Aladdin, Peter Pan, I will be going for all of them drops if they're done the right way, that is. So no mention of the pencil. But they did mention there would be a second Disney drop coming, part of the pencils list. So before we've even got the first pencil, we are actually going to get the second drop for another pencil. Are we just going to get all 5 pencils dropped at the same time? I mean, I can see that being an issue. veve haven't got the best record with airdrops, should we say. So let's just hope that everything goes right and we do actually get the pencil. Now, I am a bit concerned. I'm not seeing anything mentioned on Twitter, anything mentioned about it. It's literally gone swept under the rug. No one's really mentioned it. I have actually asked veve 3 or 4 times in their feed and I've yet to get a reply on that. So I have no idea. Where is my pencil? So the next one is the AMA did happen tonight. There wasn't a lot in the AMA, I must admit. Now, does that seem like a general thing that keeps happening? There never seems to be a lot in the AMA recently. The last couple have been lackluster to say the least. But there was some good points in there. So localization is the first one. So we will be getting, as you know, we've been onboarding different languages and stuff like that. We've been onboarding different user bases from different countries. Japan comes to mind. With the onboarding, we are going to get more languages in the app. So that is a great thing. It is a worldwide app. There should be pretty much nearly every language you can get if possible. So I'm quite happy about that. It also is linked to the IPs. So Astro Boy is actually the first Japanese NFT we have. One of the other things I should say about Astro Boy is, why do we get animations with no sound? This day and age, veve, I think the first thing I'll say about that is, so if you give an animation, there definitely should be sound. If it looks like there should be fire, if it looks like there should be a water cannon, stuff like that, there definitely should be sound. What is the point of having an animation without sound these days? That is getting a bit ridiculous, I must admit. One of the other things I'd say about that is, why do we have one item of a set that is only the animated one? Now, if you do animated of one in the set, I would rather have all 3 animated so you could play with all 3 together, rather than having one animated Felix, for instance, which I must admit the animation on that is cracking. I knew it would be cracking. I watched the film and I could almost envision that animation, and I must admit, even where it jumps with the hammer and you hear the box like Mario sort of thing, all that sort of stuff, I absolutely loved it. And right now it's sitting at 17 gems. I mean, that is a bargain. Bargain animation, bargain item, bargain film. That is a wicked film, by the way. If you haven't seen that and you're my age, like, you do not need to be a kid to watch that film. That's one of the later Disney films that was actually still good to watch. For an adult, that is. I mean, the second one, in my opinion, is definitely the better one. There's definitely a lot more IPs and stuff like that in there. I mean, in the first one, you got Street Fighter, you got Sonic, a lot of old arcade games. So, yeah. I did really like that film. I did really like that drop. But I would like all animated from now on. I mean, with collectibles altogether, I would quite like all animated. I mean, they're just so much more fun to play with, I must admit. A lot of the time recently I have been buying collectibles more than the comics, because the comics, just don't seem to shift if you want to shift them, whereas the collectibles, when I tend to swap out, because I do a lot of shorts, you see, so sometimes I just buy collectibles just for that. So sometimes when I swap out, I find it easier to sell the collectibles sometimes than it is the comics. The comics don't seem to be moving, they seem a bit stale right now. So one of the bullish things they did mention in the AMA is the 24-hour waitlist window. Now I actually do like this. So this gives you 24 hours window to join the waitlist. So instead of the half hour before the mark, you can join 24 hours before. And if you actually get the item, the gems will automatically come out of your account and purchase the item for you. Now, how smoothly this is actually going to work is a different story. Whether or not it's going to work that straightforward, I have no idea. I'm pretty happy about that. I mean, it's like the Spider-Man comic from a couple of days ago. I was actually waiting in the wait list for that. 5 minutes before the drop, my nephew come in, started talking to me, and then before I know it, I forgot all about the drop. I did actually get into the wait list, but I didn't have time to purchase it because it had already sold out by that point. So that's that. I did miss out on that comic, and it was a pretty good comic, I must admit. Price is done all right on that comic. So I would have went for that. I did forget. So that would actually help me, I must admit. And I do work nights. I mean, in the UK, the drop time for us is 4 p.m, which I believe for most people is pretty good time, right? I mean, I like that time. But I work nights, so I do have to set an alarm just to wake up for the drops if I need to wake up for the drops, that is. But I do actually like that 24-hour waitlist window. And that means people that have to wake up for drops at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, it's definitely better for them. They don't have to wake up. They don't have to inconvenience their actual in real life to get the drop, if that makes sense. So I'm happy about that. They did mention about the new team members. They did mention about the new teams and that each team's working on certain products, certain onboarding, certain stuff. Now, one thing I did notice. So we've had some issues regarding Rise in the community recently. Some people say he's been dumping the Omi coin and stuff like that. Now, I've never looked into it. I really haven't. So I couldn't tell you myself. But from what I gather, I mean, the community is normally right about these things. He did dump a lot of Omi at once and did get kind of caught out down the line. Now, whether he was allowed to do that or not is up for debate. I mean, he got the Omi, did he pay for it? I mean, if he paid for it, then he's entitled to do what the hell he wants with it. I mean, if he was given it, he's probably still entitled to do what he wants for it, because it's his. And I didn't actually hear a mention of Rise. So they mentioned a lot of other members' staff. They mentioned all of their staff, I think, apart from Rise. So has Rise been let go quietly? Because there was a lot of FUD about that, and it's not a good look, I must admit. Have they got rid of Rise on the quiet? Only time will tell. On the Omi side, for instance, there wasn't a lot on the Omi side, I must admit. They have got to do it all by law and stuff like that. It's got to be hard to get done. But they didn't mention Omi again, and I do feel that... I mean, I've always felt myself that Omi is not the best bit of the app. I didn't even know about Omi when I first joined this app, and I was kind of let down that there was a token connected to this app, because personally... a lot of the times when an NFT app has got tokens attached to it, it's normally a rug pull, and that's normally why. I've never liked the idea of Omi, I never have. I've got some Omi, I've not got a lot. All of mine has been won by my favourite positive person, my collectibles. But again, I don't really believe in the Omi token, I really don't. So we did actually get announced that the veveverse beta testing is in play right now. A lot of people some odd people, that apparently use their showrooms more than others actually got access to the veveverse beta. And from what I'm hearing, it sounds like they're on the right track. It sounds like they made loads of improvements. How you can put IPs in there that are not IP. So if you wanted to put like a building in there, or a square box, or a tree or something, you could put it in there. But you'd also be able to change the colour and stuff like that if it weren't a branded IP, if that makes sense. So if it is a Marvel collectible from VV, for instance, you wouldn't be able to change the colour or anything, but if it's a rock, if it was a tree, you'd be able to change the colour, you'd be able to edit it and stuff like that. So that does sound like they're on a good path there. Now, we know Alibaba's not linked to the payout system, which I thought it was going to be, I must admit. Is it related to the veveverse? It does look like that could be part of what's speeding it up right now, I must admit. So maybe that is what it is, but would they just fully take over from Cavernous. I believe they've got the power to do it. And have Cavernous been moving too slow for veve? Is that what we've been waiting for, really? So one of the other things they did mention is payout. So payout is actually in beta. Right now there's about 15k users that actually have access to it, which is quite a lot, I must admit. I mean, recently we struggled to sell a 10,000 drop. I mean, we still do now and again. So we know there's 15,000 users in here, but I think we're scraping the barrel at about 20 to 25 fully. So I mean, there's not, when you think about it that way, I can't imagine there's a lot more that are waiting for the payout function and stuff like that. I haven't been invited to test the payout function. I haven't been invited to test the veveverse function, and I haven't been invited to test any functions so far. So I can't say I'm shocked whatsoever. But yeah, payout is in beta, so I do like that. And they have found some issues. I did mention that. So again, that will start slowing everything else down till the issues are fixed. So one of the other things they did mention was the rebounds function. Yes, I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. The rebound function is a mess. No one knows whether it's actually going to happen, whether it actually happens on time. Sometimes if you actually don't go back in, and if you don't go out the page then go back in the page, the buy now button will not show up. I mean, I can sit there on my page, right? I'll be waiting. I can see the clock ticking down. It'll get to the timer will run out, and then I'll start going into minus time, and my box has not actually changed it. I have to go in and out the page to then get my box up. So I've noticed that does actually help. So a lot of the times I do miss it because I've had to go in and out of the page, or I've waited inside the drop window for 10 seconds after the drop, and of course you missed the drop by that point. So that's definitely something that does need fixing. The rebound system is a mess right now, and it's pretty annoying, I must admit. I used to like going for 4 or 5 on the box sometimes when you really wanted to. Now you have to get 1 and you have to sit there for another half an hour after the drop. I mean, the drop, the waitlist thing, you might say it's short, you might say you can get on with your day and stuff, but you are still essentially paying attention to the drop. So it does actually still take the same amount of time, if that makes sense. For me anyway. I like to pay attention to the whole thing. I still like to keep an eye on the floor. Sometimes if I land a drop straight away with the early deliveries, I like to sell that straight away, knowing it's probably going to go 20 to 30 gems lower in about an hour's time when they're all delivered. And then I'll usually buy back in at that point if I like the item, say. But they didn't mention anything about the time delays. That's one thing they didn't mention. That does really need fixing. I must admit that is a pain in the arse. The rebounds are a pain in the arse right now. And it's like the green trucks. They didn't mention anything about deliveries with the green trucks, but I think that's part of what they meant about the rebounds having problems and stuff like that as well. People getting mint numbers that don't exist, or they're getting green trucks with no mint numbers and then they're not getting the drop. Now, they did explain a bit more about how the waitlist works, so please go back and watch the VVAMA in full. Plus, I'm just your average guy in an office wearing a Pikachu t-shirt, so you probably shouldn't be listening to old Bob. But yeah, so they did announce, I think it was a Fantastic Four comic, issue number 2. I'm pretty sure it was Fantastic Four. And that is a comic that I believe was a 9.6, was worth $65,000. So it is not a comic to be sniffed at. It's a comic I'm definitely going to be going for. It's a comic I advise you to go for. And I probably will do a proper Bob Sales video, drop video this week covering that one, I would imagine. Because that's a pretty good one. Now, I'm trying to do more live stuff. I was actually invited to a stream today. I couldn't do it because of my work hours, because, as you can probably tell, a lot of you are Americans, a lot of you Canadians, and between English time and a lot of your times, I think it's 5 hour, 6 hour difference. So you're 6 p.m. most of the time. It's my 11 p.m. I work at 12 p.m. till 8 a.m. So I had to miss that stream. But I do plan on doing a lot more. I went on Superstar Monies again the other week, as I mentioned. That was a great stream. Always a pleasure to meet Superstar Rob. Absolute pleasure. Joe's always trying to avoid me. No, a great guy. A happy birthday, by the way, Joe, by the way. What else can I say? I did have a wicked stream on Doctor Strange's the other day with Mo and BE and My Collectibles and Sleeping Comics, and who's who of everyone was pretty much there that day. Bonesby as well. Shout out Bonesby, one of my watchers, one of my subscribers. I've always spoke to that guy as a Drophead member. I mean, that's how I first started this whole YouTube thing. Like I used to, well, I still watch every single YouTube channel I can, taking all the information I can, and then it gives me an overall basis of what I can base my opinions off. The opinions are still mine, but I mean, if 90% of the people say something's going over retail, it's probably going to go over retail. If they say it's going under retail, it's probably going under retail. So you should pay attention. But at the same time, it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you have to make up your own mind. So one of the other things I have been doing this week, I have been selling out a lot of the bobsales account, the bobsales wife account. So if you do see anything on the bobsales wife account for sales, please, if you can help a man out and you do fancy it, you're more than welcome to buy it, because I am actually trying to get that one out. I can't merge the accounts, and I'm aware that people are getting banned for having 2 accounts right now. So I really don't want to get caught on that. And as I'm pretty blatant with it, I have it on my YouTube channel. I mean, it's kind of their fault, right? Because they always said you could merge, you'd be able to merge the 2 accounts, 3 accounts. It was never mentioned that it'd have to be KYC to merge it at the time. I only made that second account because at the time I couldn't KYC because of passport issues. At the time, everyone was trying to order their passports after COVID had just finished, and I waited 4 months for my passport to come. Yes, 4 months for a passport. So the whole time, I had no way of getting any drops. AF15 did in fact come, and even so, you had to be signed up for 3 days before the drop. No one mentioned that till 2 days before the drop, so obviously I still didn't get AF15, even though that's what I made the account for. So yeah, that was a bit of a pain in the arse. So I've still got 2 accounts, and as I'm trying to go for MCP, I like to see 1 account building up, and at the minute I'm split between 2. Got 100 comics, about 30 collectibles in the other account, and I must have 270 comics in my bobsales normal account, and probably again about 40-50 collectibles. The collectibles are going up, I must admit. I never used to buy collectibles at all, and if I was ever to sell anything, it would be the collectibles. So what moves have I been making really? I haven't really been making any moves, I must admit. Now I did buy some Mike Laskowski's for the, I'll try and say that better again later, but I did buy some mics. So I did see a lot of people, I did think a lot of people would take a picture with Mike with a door, with Boo's door a bit more than they actually did. Because I actually bought 10 mics, I think, to flip for maybe a 5 gem, 6 gem profit when that started happening. That never did start to happen. So I actually lost about 2 gems on each mic. No big deal. I have still got 5 of them. I didn't sell all of them, but I have still got 5. And it's Mike. It's a big FA, I must admit. I really do like Monsters Inc. films. They're really good films. So one of the other things I would say about the animations, they're definitely getting longer. They're definitely getting better. We do need all animations with sound if they have animations. I do think that should be a given at this point. Trying to make shorts, trying to make videos where you have to add footsteps into your Ed robot and stuff like that is a bit annoying. I mean, I enjoy it, but then when you're trying to showcase the NFTs in the app, I'm having to add stuff to it. So then if someone was to see that and then be like, oh, well, I'm not going to buy that off of veve, they might think it's got sound when it don't actually have sound because I've added sound to it, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, but at the same time, I like my shorts to be kind of fun. What other things we got to talk about? So MCP, they did say about MCP, some users still have their MCP numbers wrong. I hate to tell you this, veve, it is every user. It is not. There's not one single user that has their MCP points right now. In fact, I've actually given up caring about MCP points. I'm not trying to work them out anymore because I don't see why we should have to email and tell you what our MCP points were when we were promised that you would work them out, you were adding them up this whole time, everything would be backdated. That's your problem. That is not our problem. And now we're being told that, oh yeah, if you've got problems, if you think they don't add up, send us a message of so many transactions and going back so long. Why are we doing the footwork? They should be automatically built into the system, man. And it's like every single MCP person I've spoke, every single person that has MCP, I've never met one person, not one person that thinks it's right. It's not off by a lot in some cases, but it's definitely not right. It's just not right. So right now, yes, we've got MCP, yes, we've got points to spend. We haven't got nothing to spend them on yet, but until they're working out right, are we really going to actually class that? I mean, my MCP points are not right, 100 million%. But I'm not sending an email to veve trying to work out my MCP points and then telling them, well, this is what you've got to do, this is what they should be, work it out. I mean, come on, I work a full-time job and I've got a full-time YouTube channel now. I mean, come on, I only get so much time in my life. I'm literally don't get a lot of time for personal time whatsoever right now. I mean, the videos are an effort, everything's a bit of an effort, work's an effort. I do work nights, so I have to sleep in the day, so my whole sleep pattern's shit anyway. So yeah, why are we working out the MCP points, Veve? So I'm not too bullish on the MCP. I do like it, I do like the fact that we're going to be able to use it soon, but again, the points ain't right, and I'm pretty past caring about the points being right. But Veveverse soon, comics in showrooms, well, comics on Veveverse wall, should we say, so that's going to be a bullish thing. That should help move the comics, in my opinion. It really should. Some of them comics, 2gem comics, great on the Veveverse wall, I must say. Like every single comic I own is going on a Veveverse wall somewhere or something like that. It could be a good time to start stacking up on cars, not financial advice. Don't kick me in the teeth for that double quill. I know you hate that, and I hate that myself. It's so cringy, but sometimes you have to do it. I know you're not stupid. I know you're not going to listen to everything I say and then go out and buy loads of kit cars. But right now, the Veveverse is round the corner by the looks of it. It is in beta testing. Might be a time to start stacking up on some cars. Lambos are cheap right now. Kit's still pretty cheap. Coca-Cola truck's pretty cheap. The cars, everyone's definitely going to want to have a car outside the Veveverse. In the Lambos, you can pick and choose with the colours. Personally, I like the yellow one best out of the newer ones. And out of the old ones, the green's got to be the best one. I must admit, I don't have that one, but I do have the yellow one. I think that's one of the plays to play. I did buy a couple of heads again this weekend because I see a couple cheap. But one of them is now listed, I think 5 gems above floor, 3-digit mint. I actually paid about 15 gems lower than that, so I'm going to make a little bit of a profit there if it does actually sell. I have actually now got 3 heads, but I'm trying to get rid of that one. I brought a couple to make up on the way. I did actually land the Astro Boy drop. I wasn't actually going to go for that drop because I didn't see that drop profiting. I thought maybe it would hit 40 gems and then within the hour, half hour, it would be down to 25 to 20 gems. I thought it would sit around retail or under retail. To be fair, that drop didn't do that bad. So I actually got mint 181, I think, on the drop, and I flipped mine straight away for 100 gems. I even got told in the Veve feed by some bloke, oh, you're never going to flip that for 100 gems. I'm not sure you know how significant the character is. There is going to be people that care. So I did kind of know that. I did list it for 100 gems, and I did actually get the 100 gems. So that was a good profit, good day. I did actually sell one of my Stan Lees. I made a great profit on that one. I think it was 60 gems at the time, and it's now sat around 45. I think that was for the rare, the one in the throne. So I've done all right on that. Still got my ultra rare. I did get an offer for 60, but I think I might just hold that for a bit longer. I mean, I was going to sell it at about 120, 110 when it got there. I knew I should have at the time, but I just never did. But again, I do think that is a quality item. There was articles about that item, so I do think that is a pretty significant item. And that is pretty much the Walt Disney partner statue, but for Marvel, for Stan Lee himself. And it's a family estate thing. So it's actually, the license is not Marvel, as you notice, it's Stanley. It's a Stanley family estate pretty much. So all that money is going to the family, going to his whole portfolio, should we say, that goes back to the family. So that's a good thing in my eyes, I must admit. And I do think Stanley is his own IP. So I must admit, right now I have got about 400 to 500 gems in the account. I do need some money, but I'm not actually going to cash it out. I'm going to keep playing the drops at the minute. Now I'm going to stay liquid because I know these drops are coming up, so I'm really trying not to spend anything right now. And also, everything I seem to buy recently seems to go under. I did buy the Avengers, I think it was 59, 52 comic, the 1000 mint comic. I did actually buy that. I paid 120 gems for that. Right now, that is sitting at 70 gems. I'm not going to sell at that price. Although, once I see it get down to 90, I was debating it because I sat there thinking, this is going the wrong way, and it looks like it's going to continue going the wrong way. Should have stuck with myself, should have just lost that little bit there. But no, I'm holding on for dear life for that one. So I'm actually going to keep that one and just hold it for a little while. It's 1,000 mint. But then when you work it out, right, so worst case, your secret rare's got 500 to 250 comics, right? Like mint size. And then veve takes some of them, so they've got even less. Some of them comics are under 50 gems right now for the secret rare variant. So maybe in hindsight, because it is 1,000 rarity comic, there's still 1,000 of them. So as we can see by the secret rares, most of them are sitting on 50 to 100 gems, a lot of them. Maybe I should have took that as a sign to not buy that comic for 120 quid, but I did kind of FOMO into that because of our London trip. I was with a bunch of people. Now Ronnie himself actually brought, one of the guys I was with, he actually brought one for 75 I think at the time. Now I kind of missed half that conversation because I was a bit half cut. I was still nearly being sick from the night before, so I was barely with it, put it that way. So yeah, I did notice that he bought it for 75. I actually bought one after that. I told him I brought it, and he's like, dude, I already bought mine for 75 and I've sold it for 125. Are you an idiot? So yeah, it was right about that, I must say. So yeah, expect more live stuff soon. I do need to do a celebration restream. I still haven't done one of them yet, and it was supposed to be for the 100th video, then the 150th video. I think we're on 170 videos now. We're on 300 and something subscribers. We're definitely getting there. The editing's definitely still improving. The videos are definitely still improving. I did rush the last couple of ones out because I had to fit the SDCC schedule, so I'm sorry if my editing looked a bit shitty on them ones. But you can't always edit when you get rushed like you do. I mean, you don't really get a lot of time, and some of my videos can take 2 to 3 days to edit. Sometimes I need time, I must admit. I do need some time, and I do think veve cut it a bit close sometimes. I think we can make better videos, right, if you get more time to do it. But now old Rhubar's doing it, I don't think they really care if we make videos or not, if that makes sense. And then again, if you like me, you like to be critical as well as positive. If things are good, you like to say how good they are. If things are bad, you like to say how bad they are. I was always told one thing one of my first things I'd ever learned is like watching YouTube and stuff like that. It's always be yourself. Stay true to yourself. Don't try to hide anything. Don't try to gloss over anything. Say what you see. If you say what you see, you can't go wrong, because you're not lying to no one. You're not making nothing up. You're saying what you're seeing. So if you're watching a bad UFC fight, for instance, and both of the men are barely fighting each other, and you're commentating the fight, you're not going to say, oh, this is a great fight, because it's lying to the MMA fans. MMA fans are not stupid. They're going to know that you're trying to gloss over a shit fight. Rather than say it's a good fight, say both men need to pick up the pace. They both need to carry on. You don't have to bash them, but you have to say, look, right now they're fighting like a sparring match. They're basically sparring in the gym. They're tip-tapping each other. They're trying to stay away from each other. One of them's running around the ring. So, yeah, there's definitely different ways to handle it. But again, say what you see. It's the best way to be. So anyway, I thought that would be a quick little rant video. I am going to try and get a couple of drop videos out. I do need to do a couple of other videos. If you've got any ideas for content, let me know, because I have actually done basically a video on everything at this point. My whole first year of veve was just making up stuff to do. I mean, it wasn't making up stuff to do. It was finding just finding other stuff to do rather than drop videos. And right now I've been pumping out the drop videos. I'm sorry they're not always to a schedule. I'm sorry I can't make every one, but as I say, it is hard to make these videos. I do have a day job and stuff. I do try and do as many as I can. I mean, over the weekend you're never going to hear anything from me, because that's my day off. That's my week off from veve. That's when I take my time out to have a rest, regroup, because normally I just work till I burn out. So I work all week, I barely sleep. I mean, most of you, a couple of you have asked me a few times, like, how are you still up? Like, you finished work like ages ago, like you've done a video, you've just done all that editing, and you're still up. Like, are you alright? Why are you still up? So yeah, that does happen a lot. And I must admit, I'm one of these people, kind of like what Mr. Beast says, I'm one of these people where I'll work till I burn out rather than have a schedule. So I'll work until I burn out, and then after that I'll just take a day's rest when I know that I really need to sleep. I really need to catch up on housework, need to catch up on in real life stuff, make some phone calls, stuff like that. So anyway, I just thought that would be a nice little natter for you. I will try and do more of these. I hope this internet's been really good tonight, because I am actually in the office tonight, and the internet's been cutting off my PC and this computer, so I'm hoping this has come across clear. I'm hoping none of this is cut out, and I hope you like my t-shirt. Look at it, Pikachu. But yeah, so anyway, I've been your host Bob Sales. This time next year we will be millionaires. Peace. Oosh.